Okay, well, the time has come for Song Fight.
Oh, Song Fight. Thank
So,
goodness for Song Fight.
when did you discover Song Fight and what it? Tell them what it is. Tell them what it is.
Okay, Song Fight is an online songwriting competition slash club. Membership is open. Anybody can go, anybody can join. The rules are very simple. Occasionally, it seems to be about twice a month, the proprietors of the website will post a title, and then your job, you have about a week to write and record a song of that title and submit it by email to the Fight Master, who will then, at the end of the week, collect all the submissions and put them on the website so that people can listen to them all. And in the old days, you could vote for your favorite, and now it's you can vote for as many of your favorites as you want. And then they tabulate the results, and there's a winner is declared by number of votes.
What's the prize?
The prize is your own sense of personal accomplishment, and your
You won.
your bragging rights. You get to go tell
yeah.
everybody, I won Song Fight. And it is a lifesaver because there's no quality control that unless you bring it to the table. No one cares. This is my favorite thing. A deadline with no stakes is just the most powerful thing in the world because it just lets you do something no matter how dumb or bad it is.
Yeah.
And it's the most freeing experiment in your own creative life to just say, like, all right, I have to make a thing. This is the title. So I have a seed that I can sort of try and build a little pearl around. And then it's all the pearl always comes out wonky because you only have a week, and then you just go like, well, here's mine.
Yeah. Now,
And
I've taken part in two such experiments, one artistic and one musical, like this. You may have heard of either of these or both. One was the 24-hour comic. Are you familiar with this?
I don't know that one.
I think it may have been created by Dave Sim. I was a big comic book guy in my 20s and stuff. And Dave Sim, author of Cerebus, I think he may have created this, or at least he proposed it. You have 24 hours to make a comic book, and that's it. And it doesn't matter. The only goal is to publish.
Right.
You've got to be done at the end. I think it has to be 24 pages, but I'm not sure. Whatever the case, you've got to be done at 24 hours, period, whether you're finished or not. And so I did this. My art skills are marginal. I can draw some, I have a sense of, and I can write. So I went ahead. It was wonderful.
It's so freeing.
It was freeing. I was just like, okay, at the end of 24 hours, it was scary. I was scared doing it because I'm like, oh my God. But what am I scared of? Because at the end of 24 hours, it's done. It's like being on the high dive, except somebody's going to throw you off of it.
Right.
So there's nothing left to be scared of. And there's a music equivalent of this, and it's called RPM Challenge. Have you heard of this?
No. Wait, keep going though.
The RPM Challenge, I'm sure there's more of these. I've done this twice, and Steve Espinola, my friend and mentor, has also done this. You have the month of February to write and record 10 songs.
Yeah.
You have to have a finished album by the end. That's all. You have to have a finished album, and it's 10 songs or 30 minutes of music. And
I did that, but it was November, and it had a different name. So somebody else had that same idea.
Again, very freeing, and I loved both of the albums that I created on this, and I've even uploaded them to my iMusic, so I can share them. Song Fight, same thing.
Yeah, and isn't that one of the fun things about those exercises is that you go in thinking like, there's no way I'm going to make anything good.
Right.
And then you just do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's gold. Like you're just like, well, where did that idea come from? Like I didn't even know I had that in my head.
The power of constraints, the same thing we were talking about earlier, where you have a habitual attitude about something. And when you constrain yourself, you find that parts that you thought were connected and held it together, something can release because you've constrained something that was holding it.
The wisdom of your body movement.
Yeah.
Curriculum.
I mean, because you think of yourself, you've got a self-image.
Yep.
And in order to change the self-image, you actually have to take parts of it away to see what else is there. And you can expand your self-image once you put it all back together. You differentiate and then you reintegrate.
And isn't that fascinating about how much of creativity is about deconstructing patterns that you've overlearned?
Yeah. exactly. And not just creativity, but quality of life.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in a rut.
Right. Well, I mean, it can be is if you have a stroke, you're going to quickly learn it's not just, getting in a rut, it's getting back to walking.
Right.
The stroke will take parts of you away that you thought you needed. And you're only going to be able to walk again if you change your self-image.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, that's 100% true. And it is amazing too. Like songwriting is funny because how many songs have been written, and
yeah.
how many of them are in 4/4 with like a moderato temperature tempo, and how many of them are mezzo forte, and they start with a guitar strumming in an open G chord, and like, and yet you can still write one like that, and all you have to do is tweak something. You just do something weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna, I don't know, whatever. It's only offbeats, or I'm gonna, play it backwards with my hands like this, and and suddenly you've got an idea that becomes a new song that people will be like, "Oh, that's a cool one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Never heard that before." There's so
And
much of that out there.
and speaking of constraints, song forms.
Mhm.
I mean, it's while all really really great songs are different from each other generally, there is a small circle in which there's a sort of structure that people respond to, and you don't always have to be afraid to write a song that has A B. That's
Right.
not a bad thing, and sometimes limiting yourself like that, well, it can free you up.
Well, you lean on those things, right? Because the
Hmm.
audience needs them in order to understand what you're doing. And so you can usually pull them in with these patterns that make them feel comfortable. But then when you
Yes.
break those patterns, that's when you get their attention. And so there's
Yeah.
always this kind of,
But the pattern's got to be there for you to
yeah,
break it.
yeah, that's right.
Right. That's where the power, that's the silence in a sense. That
Right.
the silence is the breaking of a conversational pattern.
It is one of them.
Right.
And that, yeah, it's fascinating. And how many times too, like in a composition class, did you have a teacher who said something like that note, like I'm tired, my ear got tired of that note. And then you go look at the score, you're like, oh yeah, I see what he's saying. Like
Yeah.
it's,
There it
I guess
is.
I was really just hammering that E. And maybe if I just took it out sometimes, because it was it Webern? Webern said that a composer's best friend is his eraser.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's always finding those things, finding where you're being lazy and then tweaking it, or finding where the audience is going to start to get bored, and then that's where your weird thing goes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, now I'm going to ask permission of the other two gentlemen who did this with us, and maybe we even interview them. Who knows? I'd like that. But
Oh yeah,
I'd like to post at the end of this Full Moon on Friday, which was one of our two songs. And
that's right.
with permission of all the members, I will do that and people can hear our song. That's of the two. I like the other one as well, but I was really proud of Full Moon on Friday. I thought that was
Oh,
a good song.
collaborating with you again really like opened my heart in a way that we need to do this again,
Yeah.
because um I music is a social enterprise, and I keep forgetting that in my life, because
Hmm.
I have my little patterns and I can write a song and record it all by myself. Um, but really, like, music is ultimately a social thing, and performance doesn't work without an audience. Um, and the back and forth of it is it's so central to the exercise. And it really kind of brought that home for me, that even sort of in the depths of the pandemic, when I'm stuck alone in my basement and I haven't talked to a person I'm not blood related to for months, um, I could find, like, here's people I went to school with, I have a history with, whose talents I recognize, and it's still there. Like, my friend Keith, who we used to write songs when we were in middle school. We'd
Yeah.
stay up all night at sleepovers and just write dumb songs together for fun until we had the giggles and couldn't sing anymore because it was laughing so hard. He's there playing bass, and I'm like, ah, man, I remember all the way he plays, and his favorite little patterns are still in there. And then your voice obviously is a gorgeous voice, and bringing that, man, everything about that experience. It was so rich and so fun. Um, in fact, I had because I did something similar with I kind of failed at this. So we didn't talk about this at all. But when I was in college, I was in an a cappella group.
Was it the overtones?
It was no, it was in a chord. We were
Oh, okay.
the co-ed one,
Oh, okay.
and a, a while like during the pandemic, I met one of the other members just by chance, and he suggested like, "Hey, maybe we could do a reunion." And I was like, "I bet we could do a virtual reunion." So I like got the group, found everybody's email addresses, and I was like, "Can we just could you just record your part? Like, here's like a recording of us from the old days, and here's the score.
Huh.
And if you just record yourself, like, bring it back to me, and
Put it
I'll
together.
like stitch it together somehow." And I got like 60% of them to email something back. And I was able to stitch it together, and the sound of it, like those 6 people or whoever got their stuff together, it's the same sound. Like we're all the same people.
Oh, that's nice.
And to hear that sound again brought me back. But it really dramatizes like how personal the music you make is, and how much it is really an expression of yourself and your body and your mind and your emotional set, and just all the little behavioral patterns in your personality. It's all in there. It's packed in there, and people can hear it. And it's funny how constant it is. Here we are 30, what did you say, 35
Well,
years
yeah,
later?
must be something like
How
that.
old are we? And
Right.
but it's still there. Like that's what, and I loved putting that Full Moon on Friday together, because all those parts.
Well, so since I've got you here, something I never told you, which was the value of, now I mentioned at the very beginning that I found you on the lawn and then I just kept bugging you until we could finally get together in a practice room. Do you remember how disastrous that one practice room session was by any chance?
I don't remember at all.
Well, it was
And
awful. It was just so disappointing because you had your act together and I
oh,
did
that's
not.
not the reason.
No,
That's
no. Listen,
100% not the
it was
reason.
like because we would try some song. We would try to play a song together, and then I would like in the middle of the song, I said, "Let's try this song. Let's try this," and you were like, "Just stop. Let's just play this song."
Let's
I'm
work
like,
on this one.
right? Like I
Isn't
was
that
like,
funny?
I was
Yeah.
just a mess, and I realized
Well,
it.
I
You
wasn't
know?
going along with you. See, that's where, and I wish I had that skill set. I was talking, do you remember Rob Schiffman?
Yeah.
To bring somebody else in.
Mhm.
He was an overtone. I met up with him a few years ago, just by chance. He was passing through Detroit, and we got talking about stuff. And it was the same thing where I was like, I just wish I'd been more like open, like
Right.
more just like accepting, and had more grace, and was more like a player. So I put that all on my shoulders. I was the one who wasn't like
Well, but I mean,
following your lead, because you were
yeah,
going somewhere.
I recognized that, but at the same time, I also had to come to grips with the fact that to some extent you had your act together and I didn't. Because I mean, I wasn't able to meet you where you were either. I mean, I was on the piano. I knew I had a lot of learning to do, to be able to collaborate with another person. And to some extent,
Yeah.
I wasn't really collaborating with you on that. That's why I called you back to do Traffic and the songs for Sonia, those 2 little guitar songs you did.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to try again. These songs are good and I bet he'd be good on them. And maybe that may have been, well, except for my band, which I was in high school, and that was a lot of fun. But, except for the band, that may have been like the first really good collaboration I ever did, was that with you. And I recognize that. And that's why I put some of your little vocal stylings in my
Nice.
later version.
Nice.
So I have a lot to thank you for.
Oh, that's sweet to hear. And right back at you, because it was those things too that, I don't know how to put this in words. So I was aspiring to learn composition, and when you're composing something, you're basically just writing down detailed instructions, telling somebody exactly what to do and when to do it. Like it's like the most bizarre, kind of like weird, bossy, obsessive compulsive, like, no, I like this.
Right.
That's too loud. I said not too loud.
Allegro assai.
Exactly. And you can get really mad at people. The performers will be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," which is very silly. It's very silly. And it took me a while to sort of realize, like, when you write, you need to write so that the performers enjoy what they're doing, or
Yeah,
else
yeah, yeah. Oh no, that's true.
no one's going to want to play your piece. Like all the great pieces are fun to play.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
that's very, very valuable for anyone who's
yeah,
writing music. And even it doesn't mean it has to be tonal. It doesn't even have to be easy. It just has to
no,
be,
hard is fun.
yeah, yeah, right. But it's got to be
Usually
the right kind of hard.
it has to
Like,
be the kind of hard that's A, it's easier than it sounds, because people usually enjoy that feeling.
right.
Um, but it has to have I'm writing a piece right now for Carillon, the big bell
Oh, I
towers.
love that. I
Isn't
love
that funny?
carillons.
I'll tell
Wow.
you offline more about what I'm working on, because
Okay, okay.
it's a really funny idea that I've never heard done before. But that's because you have to, it's a keyboard, like a piano
Yeah.
keyboard,
Yeah.
and there's a foot pedal part, but you really have to like pound the notes with your fist. So you're not like gonna play multi-voice polyphony. You're really just kind
Right.
of like imagine somebody just pounding, like a toddler pounding on a giant toy piano.
Yeah, and the echo makes it transcendent.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, but the physical movements of this is completely invisible to anybody listening to the bells.
Right.
But that's all the performer is doing, and so you want to make sure that what you're telling the performer to do is A, possible, and B, enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, nobody's going to want to play it, and you have to
This
pay them money.
it's the definition of writing something that's idiomatic to the instrument.
Right.
It has to be something that challenges them in a way that they want to be challenged. If you ask a violin player to play the instrument with their lips, they're going
Right.
to forget it. Or, maybe, yeah, it's really hard. You have to cross strings and do this with your fingers. It's like, why would I want to? It's not going to sound good. I'm going to work really hard and it's not going to sound good. And everybody's going to think I suck.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, wow, I never did this, I can make that jump. I can make that jump.
Right.
Then you've got it,
I just read too, because I just discovered Stravinsky's Violin Concerto in D, which for some weird reason has never been on my radar before, and it's a gorgeous piece.
Yeah.
And I Wikipedia'd it, and apparently he had written this violin chord that opens, I can't remember which movement, but it's like the first sound of one of the movements.
Yeah.
And he had showed it to one of his violin friends, the notation of it. And his violin friend was like, nobody can play that. Are you nuts? Like, that's ridiculous. And then Stravinsky was apparently like crestfallen. And the guy went home and he tried it and he was like, oh no, actually, that's perfectly sensible. And he called up Stravinsky and told him, like, never mind, I was wrong. Like, it's a great chord. But it's like what you're saying, even the violinist looks at the notation, and you were talking about how notation is kind of a silly system.
Yeah.
It very much is, and there it is embodied, right? Here's a professional violinist who looked at a thing and was like, I can't play that. And then once he has his instrument in his hand, goes like, oh no, that's actually quite natural feeling.
Right. Which is what happens to every beginner when they look at something relatively easy. It's like, it looks nothing like it sounds, and it looks nothing like you move. Just like when we read words that have GH and we pronounce it fa, it's the same thing.
That's right.
You learn to make the switch in your head and you become a good sight reader, and that's how it happens.
Yeah. And isn't it funny too, you see it in the sort of internet culture of music theory, which is really fun. I don't know if you watch like Adam Neely.
Occasionally.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
Like who's that guy? Collier, Jacob Collier.
Jacob Collier.
It's very popular as well. And he talks a lot about music theory. But you can kind of see, like, in the comments and the kinds of questions that they get, there's a lot of people who keep asking things like, is a G sharp really the same thing as an A flat? Like, aren't they just the same note? And then you do the hem and haw, like, well, yeah, on a piano, but not really. It doesn't mean the same thing, And yeah, just like language, just like written language, there's lots of different ways to write the same sound.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same meaning.
There's reasons, even if it is the same sound, there's reasons to use one or the other. So that if
Right,
you
exactly.
scale, you use every letter in the alphabet and you don't go G, G sharp, B. It's just, it makes it even harder to decode. It makes it easier to decode by using flats or sharps.
Right, exactly. And
You're
again,
welcome,
it's there
audience.
for it's there for the performers so that they can enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah, right. Or at least to be able to do it at all.
Or get it right according to the
Right.
composer.
Especially if they're sight reading,
Yeah, man.
Well, did you want to share anything about yourself as far as can people listen to your songs, or are they all?
Oh, sure. So go to the songfight.org website and go look at the music archive, and you will find a band called Hostess Mostess. And that is the collection of songs that I have submitted to Songfight since 2003, which is when I first discovered that site. Actually, Keith, who played bass on our Full Moon on Friday,
right,
and did everything that we could.
Yeah, we can if people. I'm gonna try, like I said, to put Full Moon on Friday after this. But,
please do.
Yeah. We did everything we could. We'll also be on Songfight under, what's the band's name? Luchadores?
Banda de Luchadores Melodosios, I believe.
That's it. We'll let people find that one. I don't want
people find that.
That one's kind of dirty. So I.
And then you can see my attempt at writing an album in a month on Bandcamp.
All right.
A band called Disposable Time. That is the name of that band.
That'll be fascinating.
Yeah, check that out. I had a lot of fun making that. Again, just time constraint, so low quality control.
And if anybody has questions, for instance, about the teaching, the learning, the medical, do you want to give them an email or something?
Yeah. I am on Mastodon at Clump at Mastodon.social.
Okay.
I'm there a lot. I have a WordPress blog, but I'm phasing it out because I don't like WordPress as much. I'm on Twitter at RB Stansfield, but not as much these days anymore.
Facebook, you're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. Yep.
Brent
Stansfield. You can find me there.
And LinkedIn, of course.
Well, you can't delete your LinkedIn profile, so it's impossible.
Like it?
There's no delete button.
How interesting.
It's literally impossible.
I like my LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn's fun. Yeah, I am also RB Stansfield on LinkedIn.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm around, and you can read. Our Brent Stansfield is how I publish. So if you're interested in research literature, there's Google Scholar as your friend.
Wonderful. Well, terrific. Well, Brent, it's really been great having an extended conversation with you after all these years.
After all these years, Adam, I'm very happy to see you again. You look great.
Thank you, as do you.
Super fun.
And we'll just, the first time we did Songfight, I was like, well, do I really want to collaborate with people? But now I'm like, you know what? I'm 54. Let's do it.
Isn't it fun to just not care anymore?
Yes. Yes.
To be so free. And that's what I wish when I was younger. I wish I had been more willing to just collaborate more and give people freedom to do what they're doing and just.
Yeah. And if we don't do it now, then when we're 80, we're going to be like, hey, I wish when I was 50, I had.
Yeah. I wish I had just given creativity a bigger chance.
Right.
So
I had a chance and I blew it.
I didn't take advantage of the opportunity to collaborate with people, build these relationships, learn more about music by watching other people's processes. So if you're younger than us and you're not doing that,
do it.
Give yourself a think.
That's right. Okay. Well, Brent, thank you very much for joining us. And audience, thank you also for joining us. A long and winding interview. I hope you found it valuable and fascinating. I did. I got way more out of it than I thought. And I got interviewed. So who can argue with that? That's really great. Check out our other interviews if you like. Please leave comments about what you've seen. Please like us. Push that like button. And if there's more you want to hear from any of our guests, or if you want to hear someone I haven't met yet, let me know. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Last call, I smell like whiskey. Shadows, they fill the bar. I'm far from moonlit, so drunk and so romantic. it clean of all expression. One look, you'd see right through me. Full moon on Friday. Empty sockets turn my way. Oh no. Full moon on Friday. I just wanna believe the light won't leave me. We've come to the crux of it. I tried till my luck ran dry as Texas rain, dripping through the crevice of our lives. Full moon on Friday. Empty sockets turn my way. Oh no. Full moon on Friday. I just wanna believe the light won't leave me. Oh no, no. Full moon on Friday. I just wanna believe the light won't leave me. I used to get by on the freeway, but now I just drive straight through town. There's too many out on the freeway. The cover is bringing me down. Oh, can't you see me riding with a sign saying I don't know? Oh, there's a tide going my way and a cool wind blowing down in Santa Mo. You don't have to look where you're going, 'cause nobody knows who you are. I don't have to look where I'm going, there's someone else driving my car. And if I have to think about it, I don't want to, 'cause nobody knows anyway. What good is it out on the freeway? Where else am I going today?